Hi, Paul.
Hello.
Do you really know that you are one of the fastest guitarists in the world on planet Earth?
Do I know this? Let's
Yeah.
see. Well, I know that I love to play guitar, and I've been doing it a long, long time. I've played since I was about 9 years old. I'm a lot older than that now, so I know I've played something on guitar.
Do you have a kind of aim or goal to be the fastest guitarist in the world?
Not really. I just want to sound good. When I play, I want to enjoy the music, and sometimes that's fast, sometimes that's other things. So fast is just one part.
Whom do you consider to be the greatest teacher of guitar playing for yourself?
Let's see. Well, because I grew up, because of how old I am, all the people in the 60s and 70s were very important to me. Beginning with the Beatles, and then bands like Led Zeppelin and Van Halen and Rush were all huge influences to me as a teenager.
Which records or maybe albums of those or maybe other artists impressed you mostly that after listening to it you decided, so I will be the rock musician forever?
I think a lot of the early Beatles stuff, because those were the records that my parents had. So I was so young, I was 3 or 4 years old, and I was listening to A Hard Day's Night and Help, and I was standing in front of the mirror and pretending to play guitar. I did air guitar in front of the mirror for many years before I ever played a real guitar.
Did you ever studied guitar playing, or you made it by your own?
It was both. I think at first I taught myself, and then I had some lessons from a private teacher for a year or so. And but I think most of my learning has been by myself. But maybe the biggest thing was I went to school for 1 year at a school called GIT in Hollywood. And I moved to Hollywood to go there, and that was a huge change in my life, both to move to a big city and also to learn about, to go to school for music.
She says that she knows that, for example, Eddie Van Halen, he got so many guitars of his own, and most of them are put in the garage where he and how many guitars do you own?
Let's see. I think I've got around 80 or 90 at the moment. It's always changing. I'm giving some away or getting some new ones, but around 80 or 90.
They want to know, do you have any Gibson or Fender guitars, or you only play Ibanez ones?
Well, mostly I have Ibanez, and that's what I play on stage in the studio. But of course, I love all guitars. So I've got a couple Gibsons. I think I have one Fender. I've got a Rickenbacker. I've got some Taylor acoustics that I like, but mostly the Ibanez is what I use every day.
Do you have any guitars which were made especially for you, maybe some customs which exist in in a single way, just only one of the kind?
I do. I think many times what happens is Ibanez has a custom shop where they'll build one-of-a-kind guitars. And they'll make one for me, and then if I really like it and I play a lot, they'll make it into a production model that anyone can buy. So for example, right now the guitar that I'm playing is actually a production model, but an earlier one was the one of a kind. So it starts as one and ends up many.
this track which we've been listening to, it is probably the live performance. Can you remember something about this performance?
Oh, let's see. That was what was the last solo tour I did, and we were doing some cover songs at the end, and I chose an AC/DC song. And it was funny because my drummer in that band didn't like AC/DC. But after we played it for a while, he said, "You know what? I think I understand why this song is so cool." So I was glad to change his mind about AC/DC because I love AC/DC.
And it was in 2011 or.
I don't remember. I think 2010 or 11. I'm not sure. My memory is bad about years.
The next question is regarding you being a guitar teacher. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think about the effects, about the results of those distant lessons which you used to do through internet, through Skype, so on and so forth? Or it's better to do close teaching when you have your pupils right in the same room?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that's changed is not so much whether I'm close or whether it's on the internet, but just my style of teaching. When I first came up with my guitar instructional videos about 20 years ago, I was playing all these crazy fast things, and people were really excited about it, but it didn't really help their playing because it was sort of too advanced. And now I have a new. It's actually an online guitar school, and there's still advanced things at the end, but I also do the beginning things, and I have the whole course. So starts at the beginning and slowly moves to the more advanced things, and that makes a huge difference. Because so many people need to work on the simple things first.
How long do you how long do you used to train yourself each day? For how long?
Oh, let's see. Well, in a way, the best training is the show, and the show's about 2 hours or even 2.5 hours long. So I'm on stage playing for such a long time. So that's the best training. And besides that, I try to play as much as I can, but I never count. I'm enjoying it so much that I don't even look at the clock. I don't know how long it is. Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 2 hours. I have no idea. You're just having fun.
The next question comes about your family. How do they find your hobby, your work, your job? What do they think about your training while you're at home? So, are there any problems with them when you play loud, maybe?
Well, when I was a kid, my parents, they were the ones that had the Beatles records, so they liked rock music, and my dad also loved blues. So I think when I played the guitar, he really loved it, and he was my first roadie. Because I was just a little boy, so I had a really big amp. So I used to, he used to drive me to the rehearsal and carry my amp, and if my amp would break, he would fix it. So I'm very thankful to my dad for helping me when I was a teenager.
Are you still a member of Mr. Big, yeah?
Oh, I think so, but we're not doing anything at the moment. But if we do, I think I'll be part of it.
As far as we know, you are an author of a kind of a column in Guitar World magazine. Is it true? What are you? What do you write there? Yeah. About what? What kind of things are covered?
I've done a couple different columns. I think many years ago I wrote for a magazine called Guitar Player. That was in the early '90s. And then more recently, I wrote for a magazine called Premier Guitar.
Which magazine? The second one?
Oh, Premier Guitar.
Premier Guitar. Okay.
And I did that for I think about 1.5 years, and then I got so busy that I didn't have time anymore. But when I was doing it, it was a little bit of written out exercises or phrases to play, and also just my philosophy about music.
And what is the main plot of your guitar philosophy?
Oh, let's see. I guess to enjoy playing, to sound good, and to always get a little better every day.
Will you please make some advices to those who really can play but wanna go further in his guitar skills? Some practical advices, please.
Well, the first thing is you should sign up to my online school. But let's see. I think guitar players often think about your hands. You think about the fingers or the wrists. But I think there's two other parts of the body that are so important. So one part is the foot. I think you have to be able to stomp on the ground and get that beat going and play along with it. And the other thing is your ears. And I remember when I went to music school, I was so amazed at the ear training classes, where the teacher would play a couple notes, and you had to just sort of close your eyes and write down the notes or recognize how far apart the notes are, and that helped so much to train your ears.
So the next question comes, being a kind of a celebrity, a well-known person, especially in the guitar world. Do you know any people who are who don't like your guitar style playing, who maybe hate your style, or just like this? Do you ever meet such kind of people, or expressions?
I think in the music business, everyone's pretty friendly. I mean, it's first of all, we're musicians, so we all love our job. It's such a great job to be a musician.
So, Paul, the next question comes about your. Do you have time to look for news for different news? What going on in the world? So, for example, this terrible tragedy in Boston. What is your attitude to all those events which are happening in the world? Oh.
I hear a little bit about things, but I'm mostly a musician, so I think I try to do the things that I can make a difference with, and I think the biggest positive influence that I can give to myself and to the world is what I can do with music, and so that's what I put my effort into.
You mentioned earlier that you live in such a good faith world with good people, so those musicians, which the world of musicians, and what do you think? It is because you used to live in America, where so the democracy is so called and so on and so forth, or it is because of you, because of your soul?
Oh, I think let's see. I'm trying to understand the question, but everybody has a different experience in their life. And I think a lot of it, comes from my parents. I watched how they reacted to the world, and my parents were very peaceful people, and my dad was an artist, and so I think that's sort of what became comfortable to me. Is I love to watch my dad make art, and also my uncle is a musician, and so I was influenced by him, and I saw how most of the time they're just very peaceful, respectful people, and I think that was the biggest influence on me more than anything else. Just I think if I could have grown up with my parents in any country in the world, and I would have become me because of them. So I have the most gratitude to them.
Do you have your own experience, your own thoughts regarding Russia, regarding Russian people? What kind of what do you see them to be? What kind of people? If compared to those who live in America, they always smiling in the streets. So Americans, I mean, so while Russians, they are not such smilers.
Is that true?
They say
Okay.
yes, a little bit. They are a little bit darker, but love music more. Maybe.
Well, I hope to judge everybody as an individual. I think maybe that's the something that comes from me growing up in America, is the idea that you know, everybody is their own person, and you can control yourself. So maybe, you know, some people are smiling, some people are frowning, some people are laughing. You know, just everyone has control of themselves, and so I try not to put anybody into a group. You know, I try not to say like, oh, all these people are this kind and these people are this kind. It's just like I want to know individuals, and I think that's the way I'm most comfortable seeing the world, is not groups but individuals.
What do you think? What is your own opinion about those American pop culture, the music which you all used to listen from radios, in different clubs, in restaurants? So the atmospheric. What atmosphere of music now rules in United States, for your opinion?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Of course, I live there, but I don't really know what's going on so much. I think my own interests. You know, I like to research my favorite things. So, for example, you know, I'm a huge fan of Jimi Hendrix. So, you know, recently there was a new biography about Jimi Hendrix. So I would read the biography and I would see like, oh, Jimi Hendrix was a fan of Big Bill Broonzy or something. So I'd go back and find, you know, out about that guy. And so I tend to research older music much more than I listen to newer music. So I apologize to all the new musicians because I don't know them so much. I tend to look back in time.
The last question: If what do you think? They say that rock and roll is dead. What is your approach up to this?
Well, first of all, I'm disappointed that this is the last question because I've been having a really good time. Thank you for such a good interview.
Спасибо.
And first of all, I want to know who they is. Who is they that is saying rock and roll is dead?
Thank you, Paul. So, and we hope that due to thanks to such people as you, the rock and roll will be really alive.
Well, it's going to be alive tonight at the Jagger Club. So please come down and see some real live rock and roll.
I just mentioned about your musicians who will be accompanying you on stage
Cool.
tonight. So, for example, Thomas Lang. Yeah. So everybody's waiting for your show tonight.
Fantastic. Me too.
Спасибо. Пол Гилберт был в студии радио Фонтанка ФМ. Спасибо.
Спасибо. Ибанес производит для него подобные инструменты и